Certainly. Let's tie everything together to clarify where the confusion might be coming from, focusing on the use of que, poder, and verb structures for expressing desires, obligations, or abilities in Spanish. 1. Expressing desires or wants for yourself. When expressing what you want to do, you typically use querer, infinitive verb. For example, quiero leer, I want to read. There's no need for que because the structure involves a direct action you want to undertake. 2. Expressing desires involving ability. If you're expressing a desire to have the ability to do something, use querer, poder, infinitive verb. For example, quiero poder leer, I want to be able to read. Again, que is not needed because the sentence expresses a personal desire involving an ability. 3. When que is used. Que is used when there's a change in the subject after querer and you're expressing a wish or desire for someone else. For example, quiero que él lea, I want him to read. Here, que introduces a new clause that requires the subjunctive mood because it expresses a wish about someone else's action. 4. Expressing obligations or necessities. To express obligation or necessity, use tener que or deber. For example, tengo que leer, I have to read, or debo leer, I must read. Que is essential in tener que because it's part of the phrase that expresses the obligation. However, with deber, you directly use the infinitive without que. 5. Incorrect use of que. Using que directly before an infinitive verb without a change in subject or without necessitating a subjunctive clause is incorrect. For instance, debo que leer más is incorrect because deber is directly followed by the infinitive verb to express necessity without needing que. In summary, the necessity of que depends on the structure of the sentence and what you're trying to express, whether it's a desire, an obligation, or a wish for someone else's action. Poder can be directly used after verbs like querer to express the capability or possibility without que, whereas tener que and deber structure the expression of obligation differently with or without que. I hope this helps clarify the confusion. If there are more specific points you'd like to dive into, feel free to ask. The subjunctive mood in Spanish is not limited to specific verbs, but rather is triggered by certain contexts, expressions, and constructions that reflect wishes, desires, doubts, uncertainty, hypothetical situations, emotions, and polite requests. The use of the subjunctive is dependent on the structure of the sentence and the meaning being conveyed, rather than being strictly tied to specific verbs. Here are key situations where the subjunctive mood is typically used, illustrating that it's more about the context than specific verbs. 1. Wishes and desires, when expressing wishes or desires for someone else. Example, quiero que tengas éxito, I want you to be successful. 2. Doubt and denial, when expressing doubt, denial, or uncertainty. Example, dudo que él venga, I doubt that he will come. 3. Emotions, when reacting to something with emotion. Example, me alegra estés aquí, I'm glad you're here. 4. Impersonal expressions, phrases that express opinions or judgments about hypothetical or uncertain actions. Example, es importante que estudies, it's important that you study. 5. Adverbial clauses, with certain conjunctions that express conditions, purposes, or time-related actions, especially when the outcome is uncertain. Example, antes de que salgas, llámame. Before you go out, call me. 6. Commands and requests, in negative commands or polite requests. Example, no hables tan alto. Don't speak so loudly. Every verb can potentially be used in the subjunctive mood if the context requires expressing any of the above situations. The key is identifying the triggers within the sentence that necessitate the use of the subjunctive, rather than associating the subjunctive mood with a limited set of verbs. Yes, that's an insightful way to look at it, especially in the context of Spanish grammar. The use of que can indeed be a signal that the subjunctive mood might be required, but it's more about the context and the construction of the sentence than just the presence of que itself. Que is often used to introduce subordinate clauses, and whether the verb in that clause is in the subjunctive depends on the main clause's verb and the overall intent of the sentence. Here are some key points to understand the role of K in determining the use of the subjunctive. 1. Subjunctive triggers. The subjunctive is often triggered by expressions of emotion, doubt, desire, necessity, or subjunctive phrases in the main clause. If such an expression is followed by K, the verb in the following clause is likely to be in the subjunctive. 2. Expression of wish or desire. When a sentence expresses a wish, desire, or hope, e.g., quiero que, espero que, the clause following que typically uses the subjunctive. 3. Expression of doubt or uncertainty. If the main clause expresses doubt or uncertainty, e.g., dudo que, no creo que, the verb following que is in the subjunctive. 4. Affirmative versus negative statements. The mood of the verb can change from indicative to subjunctive with the negation of a statement. For example, creo que viene, I believe he is coming, uses the indicative, but no creo que venga, I don't believe he is coming, switches to the subjunctive. 5. Impersonal expressions. Impersonal expressions that reflect opinion, necessity, or judgment, e.g., es importante que, es necesario que, lead to the use of the subjunctive in the clause introduced by que. 6. Commands and requests. In the case of commands or requests directed towards someone else, especially in negative commands or polite requests, is followed by the subjunctive. In essence, while que is a common indicator of a potential subjunctive, it's the verbs and expressions preceding que and the context of the sentence that truly determine whether the subjunctive mood is required. You conjugate verbs in the subjunctive mood in Spanish in specific situations that involve expressing wishes, desires, doubts, recommendations, emotions, hypothetical situations, or politeness. The subjunctive mood alters the verb's form to reflect these contexts, distinguishing them from the indicative mood, which is used for stating facts, certainties, and objective realities. Here's when to conjugate verbs in the subjunctive. 1. Wishes and desires. When you want something to happen or want someone else to do something. Espero que tengas un buen viaje. I hope you have a good trip. 2. Doubts and denial. For expressing doubt, denial, or uncertainty about a fact or situation. Dudo que él sepa la respuesta. I doubt that he knows the answer. 3. Emotions. When expressing feelings about a situation or action. Me alegra que estés aquí. I'm glad you are here. 4. Impersonal expressions. With impersonal expressions that express opinions, advice, or necessity, especially when they refer to actions or events that are uncertain or hypothetical. Es importante que estudies para el examen. It's important that you study for the exam. 5. Commands and requests, especially in negative or polite forms when giving commands or making requests that are not direct orders. Te pido que seas honesto. I ask you to be honest. 6. Adverbial clauses. With certain conjunctions that introduce conditions, time, and concessions, especially when the action is seen as uncertain or not yet realized. Voy a esperarte hasta que llegues. I will wait for you until you arrive. 7. After certain conjunctions, when conjunctions like para que, so that, a menos que antes de for, en caso de que, in case, introduce a purpose or condition that is not guaranteed. Lo haré para que estés contento. I will do it so that you are happy. Each of these contexts requires the verb in the subordinate clause, the part introduced by que, or the conjunction, to be in the subjunctive mood. The specific form of the subjunctive verb changes according to the subject, who is doing the action, and the tense, when the action is happening, much like with the indicative mood, but with different conjugation patterns to reflect the subjunctive's unique purposes.